In this video, we will show how to properly set up a new Evolution Elite manual drain control panel after it has been replaced or upon startup for a new fryer. These control panels come pre-programmed for the customer they were ordered for. Once we turn on the power button for the fryer, it will ask us for our setup code. The code is 123. Then we can proceed through setting up the control panel. The first thing it's going to ask us is our language. We can scroll up or down to change between different languages. Our next step will be to push the P button. Then we have temp format. We can choose between Celsius or Fahrenheit. Move to our next step with the P button. It's going to ask us our time format, whether we want 12-hour or 24-hour. In this case, we'll use 12-hour. Now it's going to ask us to enter the time, and we can use the product buttons below to enter our time. The current time is 2:58. We will hit our P button to go to the next step. Then it's going to ask us whether we want PM or AM. This particular time is PM, so we'll proceed to the next step. Now it's going to ask us our date format, and in this case it'll be month, day, and year. So now we can go ahead and enter our date, and today's current date is 12/15 of 2021. Now that we have that entered, we can go ahead and push the P button. So now it's going to ask us for daylight savings time, whether we want US or off or for a different one. We are currently in the US, so we'll select that and move to our next step. Now it's going to ask us for our fryer type, whether it's electric or gas. This one is electric, so we'll go ahead and go to our next step. Then it's going to ask us for our vat type. This is where we can select between full or split vat. This one is a full vat, so we'll go ahead and proceed. Then it's going to ask us if it's auto lift enabled. This is where at the back of the fryer we would have auto lifts if it were to be enabled. In this particular case it's not, so we'll select no lift and we will proceed on. Now it's going to ask us if we have bulk oil supply. If the store we are working at has bulk oil supply, then we could scroll up and hit yes supply, or in this case we don't, so we'll leave it at no supply and move to our next step. The next one is going to ask us for bulk oil dispose. In this case, if they had a bulk oil supply tank in the back of the store, we could select front or rear of the fryer, or we could select none. Our next step is our serial number edit. So in this case, it's always best to enter our serial number. So we can start by hitting the number 1 check mark to go ahead and edit that. We can look on the inside of our door panel and check the data plate for the actual serial number. Then we will select whether it's standard or custom for the prefix. In this case, we're going to go ahead and select standard, and this will give us our BK for the prefix. Then we can go ahead and start by entering the serial number. In this case, it's going to be 1403. Then we will push the P button to go to our next 3 digits, and then it's going to be 026. Once we have that entered, then we can press the P button to move to our next step, and it's going to ask us if we want to save this information. So we will hit yes. And then now that we have that entered, we can go ahead and proceed to our next step. And this is going to ask us for our second language, and we will select Espanol or possibly a different language. We can hit P to move to the next step. Second volume, generally we're not going to use this, so we'll go ahead and go past it. And now you can see that our setup is complete. It goes back to our off screen, and now at this point we can proceed with turning the control on, and once it's up to set point temperature, it will then display our cooked products.